So you've been training jiu-jitsu for about 10, 12 months now, and you've been thinking to yourself, when am I getting those magic powers that come with a jiu-jitsu blue belt? Today, I want to go over the 5 criteria for what I would consider a jiu-jitsu blue belt. The things that I want to go over, I believe, are pretty universally sound. Every instructor is going to have different criteria, and you should just talk to yours and ask them what theirs are. But the ones that I'm going to lay in front of you are, I believe, generally pretty universal amongst all jiu-jitsu instructors and what they're looking for. And if you don't meet these criteria yet, I'm also gonna lay down some things that you can work on to get there. And generally what I want you to come away with from this video is how to make your blue belt undeniable. I'm gonna lay out these 5 criteria today, guys, and they're actually supposed to progress as you would progress in a jiu-jitsu gym. The first criteria is that you're a good training partner. A good training partner is somebody that is not a spaz, okay, that takes time, and is someone that will let their partners work with them and actually move them around in drills. I know we've all been there, either on the giving or the receiving end of doing the move that the instructor just showed, and we're just holding on a little too tight or not letting them work it, or this move doesn't work because I have to muscle too much. These are all things that you need to work on to be considered a good training partner. That also goes for rolling too. You're not spazzing out, you're not flipping out. And you're probably sitting there now thinking, am I a spaz? Am I the one that freaks out? And again, I wanted to provide to you in this video some things that you can work on to make sure that you meet these criteria. So if you're concerned or about being a spaz or trying to be a good training partner, you can look for some of these behaviors, okay? If you are holding your breath, if you are red in the face, if you're clenching all of your muscles and having to muscle through every move, you're not doing jiu-jitsu correctly, okay? Now, don't get me wrong, there's a very small time and place for certain things, but if you're doing those things all the time, if you're exhibiting those behaviors all the time, you probably need to calm down a little bit. Does that mean you're a bad person? No, just something that you need to work on. It's one of the first things you need to learn in a jiu-jitsu gym, and you can ask any blue belt and above, learning to be a good training partner is literally the first thing you need to learn when you walk into a jiu-jitsu gym, beyond the initial trial, tying your belts, stuff like that. Not to put everything on you. If you're trying to do the move of the day and it's just not working for whatever reason, just raise your hand and ask coach, okay? They're there to explain. Sometimes they might have explained the move really well, but didn't explain to the partner how to accept the move. And that's no fault of the instructor. They might be a new instructor, not realize like, oh, I need to teach not just the move of the day, but also, how do you receive the move? How do you take that sweep? How do you take that takedown? How do you move your body to get out of the submission if you're training submissions together? These things are all fair things to just ask, right? So don't just assume you're a spaz or anything like that, but make sure that when you're drilling the moves, it should be easy. It should be seamless, okay? People should want to train with you. People should be excited to train with you. If that's not the case, you might have to do some self-reflection there. The second thing that I'm looking for to make your blue belt undeniable is someone that trains consistently. Now, life happens, and by no means am I saying that you should prioritize jiu-jitsu over other things. Some people fall in love with this sport and are in a point in their life where they can do that, right? I remember when I started jiu-jitsu, I started when I was in college. I didn't have a job because I was very fortunate and my college was paid for. I was just doing jiu-jitsu all the time. I did my schoolwork and I did jiu-jitsu. I got to spend all of my time doing jiu-jitsu. It was awesome, I loved it. Therefore, I got to train super consistently for many years when I was a college student. Not everyone lives in that situation. Not everybody is lucky enough to train that often. So training consistently can look very different depending on where you are in life. If you can only get into the gym 2 times a week, make sure you come those 2 times a week. If you can get in 5 times a week, like I had the benefit of when I was in college, do that. But either way, make sure that you're coming in as often as you can, as life allows it. By no means am I saying prioritize jiu-jitsu over other things. Do what you need to do to make sure you have a good balance in life. But the bigger issue here is when you have somebody that comes in, for every single day for a month straight, makes a lot of progress, and then disappears for 3 months. That's not great. Now, if that's their version of consistent, that's fine, okay? But I'm talking about the people that will just they'll show up, they'll love jiu-jitsu, they're here, and then they just stop. And then they come back and they show up and they train, and then they just stop. And they expect a belt out of that. Again, if that's their version of consistent, if that's what they have to do, maybe they work somewhere else and they're only here for a month, so be it. But if that's not the case, if I know that they're just clearly, that's not, you know, they're not being consistent with their training, their whatever it may be, your version of consistent is important. And if you're having a hard time being consistent, here are a couple things that I would recommend. Gauge why you're not coming to the gym. Is it just because you're tired and you don't want to go? Do you not feel like moving that day? Are you intimidated by someone who's very kind at the gym but just happens to have your number and just beats you up day after day? I've been there, I know how it feels. Those reasons, just get into the gym, all right? It's gonna help you, it's gonna make you better in the long run. It's not gonna hinder your growth by any means. The third criteria that I look for in a blue belt and to make your blue belt undeniable is an ability to be comfortable in the major positions of jiu-jitsu. Your general guard work, closed guard, half guard, open guard, top control, so side control, mount, back mount, and then stand up and submissions. What I'm looking for is for you to basically be able to do one thing offensively and defensively from each of those positions. I'm not talking about your cross ashis and, you know, backside 50-50s and whatnot. I'm talking the basics of jiu-jitsu here. General guard work, like being able to retain your guard or get back to your guard if you need to. Passing guard, closed guard. So a scissor sweep from the bottom or stand-up pass. Half guard, a lower leg shift sweep. Or some kind of pass. Open guard, a shin to single leg X sweep, or a knee slice pass. On top, I'm looking for someone that can maintain their top game and relatively easily move from position to position on top. Side control, I'm looking for things like a hip escape on the bottom, or on top, we're looking for like a Jeremel special. Mount, very similar to side control, I'm looking for someone to be able to hip escape or bump and roll, something just to get out. And on top, it can be literally as simple as an Americana. Back mount, being able to escape. You can also be able to throw like a rear naked choke or a bow and arrow choke to finish. Stand up, you're able to sprawl, right? So to like to stop a blast double or something like that, or a double leg coming in. And then being able to take somebody down. Ankle pick, easy enough, or a single leg, straight, you know, nothing too crazy. What I'm looking for is like, offensively and defensively, can you do and escape, right? Your triangles. Arm bars. Omoplatas. Kimura. Americana. Rear naked choke. Straight ankle lock. Guillotines. Can you do those things both offensively and defensively? If yes, then you're good to go. And if no, those are a little bit more easy to work with than criteria 1 and 2, because if you don't know how to do one of those things, you can just go learn, right? Like, hey, coach, can you show me an armbar? Hey, coach, can you show me a sweep from half guard? Right? Those are generally pretty easy to work with. The fourth criteria that I have in making your blue belt undeniable, and arguably to me, this is the most important, and I would imagine for 99% of the instructors out there, this is also the most important, is your ability to protect yourself from a larger, untrained or unskilled adversary or opponent or training partner, whatever that may be. If you're wondering, how do I know if I'm able to do that? I do not recommend that you go out in the street and start fighting with somebody. That's not a good way to find this out. Notice if you've been training for 6 months, 7 months, or in the beginning of the video, I said 10 or 12 months, and you have new people coming into the gym, roll with them, you know, if the instructors are cool with it, and see how you do. They're gonna be crazy, maybe not. People tend to be a little bit more spazzy when they start, which is like, it's that first criteria of calming yourself down, being a good training partner. People come in and they're spazzy. How do you handle that? Maybe you don't handle it that well, and that's okay. That's something to learn. That's something to experience and realize, oh, like, okay, I'm okay against my fellow white belts that have been training and my blue belts and upper belts because they don't want to hurt me. I mean, they're trying to do simulated violence against me, but they're not actually gonna break my arm or something. This person doesn't know what they're doing, and they just grabbed my skin and pulled on it and slapped me in the face and elbowed me in the face, or, you know, kneed me in the ribs because they don't mean to. They're just, you know, they're not breathing and they're clenching and everything's tight, and they're not ready for a blue belt, obviously, either, right? They have their own things they need to work on. But see how you fare with that. Are you able to handle them? Is it hard? Are you also beat red and everything's tight after? Well, maybe you need some more time. Or is it relatively easy? You sweep them over, you get on top, you realize, I don't want this person to hurt me. I'm just gonna maintain top control for the rest of the time. I don't need to submit them, but just control them, right? That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for you to like go and finish the world finals on points or submission or whatever. Just, can you control someone who's bigger and stronger than you that's untrained, within reason, age, weight, athleticism, also in mind. Last but not least, number 5, my 5th criteria needed to make your jiu-jitsu blue belt undeniable is if you're starting to catch some blue belts. Or any upper belts, obviously, but you know, the next thing up would be blue belts. And what do I mean by catch? You're giving them a hard time, right? You might be submitting them. Maybe you're not there quite yet. Maybe you're sweeping them. Maybe you're passing their guards every now and then. What I'm looking for is someone that can handle themselves and, you know, start taking it to some blue belts. You don't need to beat them. It's not like I never am looking in the gym and being like, wow, Jimmy just beat Johnny. That's crazy. Like we're in the training room. Who knows what's happening? Who knows how Johnny's feeling that day or Jimmy's feeling that day? Who knows? You can't use the training room like that. But what you can do is just over time, like, hey, you know what? Jimmy's doing really well. Like Jimmy's giving giving a hard time to a lot of people in the gym. That's what I'm looking for, right? Like someone that's like a good training partner, is working hard, is in here consistently, is, you know, comfortable in all the different positions, obviously can handle some big people, and then now he's starting to work it with some people that know what they're doing already, right? So if I've already given somebody else a blue belt, they obviously possess these 5 criteria and more, hopefully. And if you're able to hang with them, I think there's no reason to say that your blue belt isn't undeniable at that point. And with that, my 5 criteria to make your jiu-jitsu blue belt undeniable is done. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section below. If you're curious on how to get better at any of these positions, I have a whole slew of episodes on Stop, Talk, and Roll that I believe would be up here or up here. I'll put it somewhere. We're over 300 episodes in at this point, so there is plenty of content out there just in my own channel alone that you can look at, see these different positions in action from white through black belt and everything in between. Thank you for watching. Have a lovely day. I hope your blue belt is now undeniable.